If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know that I absolutely adore the Masters of the Universe Masterverse new Eternia figures. And so far, we've had 3 entries into the line. We've had He-Man, Skeletor, and Beastman, all of whom I have reviewed on my channel. But now, we have a 4th entry, Cosmic Enforcer Zodac. How's it going, everyone? Deceptibot9 here, and thank you all for joining me here on the channel yet again. Now, before we get too far into the review, if you like what you see, go ahead and leave me a like. If you want to see more, and stay tuned for all future content updates, go ahead and subscribe as well. It means a lot to me, and it helps me out in so many ways. So, if you don't know, really quick, New Eternia is the subline of the Masterverse line where all the figures are based on classic concepts and original ideas. The He-Man, the Skeletor, and the Beastman have all been terrific figures, and they are easily in my top 5 favorite Masterverse figures so far. So we're going to have to see how Zodac stands up to that test. And I had to swoop this guy up because I missed the Origins Zodac, and that was a big mistake. So I knew I was not going to miss out on another Zodac. Plus, being in New Eternia, I see that symbol. I'm basically picking it up no matter what because I love the subline so much. All right, so without further ado, let's get straight into it and take a closer look at New Eternia Zodac. All right, here is a closer look at Zodac, and I gotta say straight off the top, this guy looks absolutely fantastic. He is just as cool looking and just as fun as the other New Eternia figures so far. And there's something about the New Eternia figures that they're all just slightly better than the Revelations figures. And I actually really enjoy all of the Revelations figures, but these New Eternia ones, man, they are just on a separate level, let me tell you. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the details of Zodac really quick. So coming up here at the head, it is a very nice and classic looking head sculpt. Obviously, we get the nice red with the nice grays, the big black eyes there down to the mouth with a lot of gray paint going around on the head overall with some nice sculpt detailing there. Coming down to the chest, obviously it is that classic Zodac chest panel with, you know, the sculpted details here, the little W thing. We get some new shoulder armors. These are new pieces for Zodac. They look they fit in. They fit in as Zodac armor. You can see underneath the Zodac armor, you can see a little bit of hairiness going on up on the chest. It's not painted, but it is sculpted in there. You can see it a little bit more over here on this side, very shiny. You can see, of course, all of his muscle details sculpted in there, looking great. Coming down to the arms, of course, you get nice muscle detail and definition going on with the little spiky pieces because Zodac always gets the spiky pieces for some reason. I don't know why, but that's how he is. He gets a nice little holster here that attaches onto his leg for his gun, and of course there's his little cosmic ray gun. Looks great. Up here we get this beautiful looking little white belt with a loincloth. Typical kind of stuff there. It's molded a little bit differently because there's this new clothy looking piece going on there. Legs are roughly the same. You can see his staff piece here. We'll get to a closer look at it in a minute, but it looks awesome. It's super cool accessory. Legs here, sculpted with all the muscle details you've come to expect, and of course coming down to these nice little gauntlets here on the legs with the claw feet. So as you can see, Zodac is, he's a classic looking Zodac, but of course he's got a little bit of extra going on to him. So real quick, let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. I know we showed them off right there in the detail look, but getting up close and personal with them, the gun here, it looks nice, nothing really crazy. It's done in red and gray. Looks like the classic Zodac blaster that we would come to expect. As you saw, it does, of course, fit into his hand, which it has a trigger finger, even though there's no trigger on the gun, but you can also put it here in this holster. And it fits in just like that nicely. And it looks really nice just being off there at the side, even if you want to have him wield just the staff. Now, this piece right here is the other accessory. It's technically 2. As you can see, it splits. that I was really looking forward to. It is super cool in terms of just being an awesome accessory. You can see it's done again in red and gray, just like everything else on Zodac, but it's got that kind of bulby, you know, 4-pointed diamond look, just like the gun as well. They kind of look like missiles at the top too. Plus the gray pieces here, you can see it does split in two, so you can have him wield both like that if you want to give him sort of a baton, you know, like dual baton look or something to that effect. For weapon storage with this as well, if you don't want him to be holding it, what you can do is you can take off these shoulder armor pieces here, and they will clip in just right here to those clips. Turn him back around to the front, and it looks like he's kind of got like a little jetpack thing going on. So that is super cool. I love that you are able to swap around pieces like that. I wish you were able to store them without having to remove these shoulder pieces, but it's not a deal breaker because I love that you are even getting the option of doing that. So let's put those back on him here. While I've got the spear out of his hand, we're just going to really quickly cover articulation. It is exactly the same as every other Masterverse figure, but we might as well. Head is on a ball joint, so you're getting all sorts of rocking around, looking cool. He can look up that far, he can look down that far, he can tilt his head side to side, swivels all the way around, all that fun stuff. Now with the shoulder armor on, he can't quite go all the way around with it, but of course you can just take it off, move it all the way to the back. That thing rotates all the way around, rotates up about that far. That is too with the shoulder piece on right there as well. Bicep swivels all the way around. You get the classic double elbow going on there for Mattel's typical double elbow. Rotates around at the wrist, and it hinges at the wrist as well. He does have the upper ab cut to get him kind of moving around. It is kind of hindered just by the way his chest plate is. You can also rotate him at the waist a little bit, but if you have the holster on, it is attached to the chest piece, so it doesn't let him move all the way around. The legs go forward and backwards, not very far at all. The legs go out about that far. Again, this one is going to be hindered by that holster if you've got it on, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Down, the thigh swivel, of course, typical. We get the amazing double knee joint as well. Little tight on mine, but look at that. Goes all the way, bends just like that. Beautiful. The here at the ankles, it twists at the gauntlet. I guess that's the shin. Twist at the shin, and the ankles, the feet go up, down, and they pivot, of course, side to side. So Zodac is posable in the way we would come to expect the Masterverse figures to be, but with some slight hindrances, but they are not major issues because, of course, all these extra pieces and even just the chest piece in general are removable. But while I've got him all new Eternia'd up, I want to show off a couple comparisons. First, since I don't have Zodac in Origins, but I still want to show you guys what he looks like in comparison to an Origins size figure, here he is with Origins, He-Man, and Skeletor. Obviously, the Masterverse figures are a lot bigger. They're in two completely different scale classes, but you can see how they look. All right, up first, here is new Eternia Zodac with new Eternia He-Man, one of my favorite He-Mans from the Masterverse line so far. And you can see, I mean, they do fit in the aesthetic with each other, even though they look vastly different. And it's really cool. Obviously, he's got the more Viking, a Conan aesthetic going on to him, and he's a little more technologically upgraded. So you're really getting that sense of the magic and technology thing that MotU is all really about with these two figures here. Of course, here's Zodac next to new Eternia Skeletor. Again, these two look really nice together. I love just the way the new Eternia design looks on everybody. And here's new Eternia Zodac with new Eternia Beastman. Still, you guys can see how just big new Eternia Beastman is. I just absolutely love him. He's still my favorite in the Masterverse line so far, but Zodac here looks really great in comparison to Beastman. And here is a shot, of course, of all of the new Eternia figures together so far. It's a great looking bunch. I cannot wait for all the other new Eternia additions. And of course, something else that the new Eternia figures can be is they can, of course, all carry this very classic aesthetic to them. So of course, Beastman, we remove all the extra armor and the big fur, and we swap it for a more accurate, or classic traditional chest plate. Skeletor gets a regular head, not the cool ghost beard head, and he loses the little cape over armor. And He-Man, of course, loses a little bit of fur and armor up on the top, loses the Viking helmet for a traditional He-Man. Zodac can do the exact same thing. So the shoulders, like I showed earlier, these armor pieces just pop right off with those clips in the back. Very easy. They can go off to the side, and the whole thing is very easy for Zodac. The only other thing you got to do here is you've got to just remove the holster for the gun, which is in the traditional strap, for the He-Man thing, the MotU, the traditional strap thing that they're doing. Pull off the one on the back, slide it all the way off, and then just clip that one or slide that one back in how it goes, which can sometimes be a little bit of a pain, but there it goes. And you can keep the staff in if you want for a more classic Zodac. I think of Zodac without the staff, so of course, fitting in with the aesthetic of a more classic look, you just get a straight up classic Zodac. So here's a classic gang all together. Let me pull these guys out and show you what that Zodac looks like by himself without the extra pieces. Nothing really changes on the guy. You're just removing pieces, obviously, rather than, like some of the other ones having swappables. There's not much difference in the Zodac design overall. So he looks great in either designation, however you're going to put him. I will probably keep him in the new Eternia look because that is the look that I love a lot. But if you want to see how that classic aesthetic stacks up with these 40th anniversary He-Man and Skeletor, you can put him next to them in this look, and he fits in, honestly, really, really well with those figures too. All right, that is going to do it for a closer look at new Eternia Zodac. So without further ado, let's go ahead and throw it back up to me for my final thoughts. All right, so what are my final thoughts on new Eternia Zodac here? Well, I think overall he is fantastic. He's really, really great. I think if you are collecting the new Eternia stuff, you're probably going to want to pick up Zodac just to get that whole collection rounded out. Even if you're not doing the new Eternia stuff, but you are doing Masterverse, you could still grab Zodac, and he is a great fill-in for a classic Zodac. There's not many differences going on besides like the added holster, the cool staff, plus the shoulder armor. So he fits in really well in a classic-looking collection as well. Obviously, probably doesn't scale well with classics, but if you're doing Masterverse and you're wanting classic looks for the figures, Zodac is fantastic. All right, so that is going to do it for my full review of Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Zodac. I forgot to mention up top, I picked this guy up at the Mattel Toy Store in El Segundo. They had a very small amount there, but I was able to grab him. Hopefully that means he's going to start coming out in droves soon to everybody else, because this is a great overall figure. So if you guys stayed all the way to the end, thank you so much. I do very truly appreciate it. I've been your host, Deceptibot9. Thank you for joining me once again, and I'll see y'all later.